Don't come to Thanksgiving. My in-laws don't want to meet that side of the family. My sister texted with a photo of her new dining table I'd bought her as a housewarming gift. I replied, understood. Enjoy. That evening, I contacted the furniture store. Start return. Order number 47829. At 8:47 p.m. Thanksgiving night. I always thought people who wrote long posts about their families online were being dramatic. I'd scroll past and think, yeah, okay, sure, your aunt was rude at Easter, welcome to the club. I never thought I'd be the guy staring at my phone at 2 a.m., fingers shaking over the keyboard, trying to decide if I was really about to become that guy, telling strangers on the internet how his own sister disinvited him from Thanksgiving. But here we are. My name's Roy Miller. I'm 34, I work in marketing, and my entire personality used to be busy. I'm the guy answering Slack messages at red lights. I can write ad copy in an Uber, fix a funnel between bites of takeout, and schedule emails at 1:17 a.m. because that's when open rates peak. In my family, I'm the successful one, the one who made it. Translation, I'm the walking, talking emergency fund. I'm the oldest. My sister Emma is 31, pretty, loud, always been better at getting what she wants just by tilting her head and talking fast. Our parents still call her our baby, even though she has a mortgage and a husband now. Some facts about me, since we're here. I live alone in a one-bedroom I barely see in daylight. I drink too much coffee and way too many energy drinks. I forget to eat until my hands shake. I fall asleep to YouTube videos about marketing funnels and wake up with my laptop on my chest. Bad habits? I say yes to money stuff before I think. Can you cover it and we'll pay you back? Is basically my trigger phrase. I'll complain later, but in the moment, I always swipe my card. Daily rituals. Same chipped blue mug every morning. Same seat on the left side of the couch. I check my bank app 3 times a day, but never after 10 p.m. That's a stupid superstition I picked up after one really bad overdraft notice years ago. My brain decided late-night bank emails are cursed, so I just don't look. I knock on wood before big pitches. I wear the same gray hoodie for every important meeting, even though it's ugly. I tell myself it's lucky. And for years, I honestly believed that if I just kept helping, kept paying, kept bailing everyone out, I'd finally feel like more than the backup character in my own family. That's the version of me that existed the week before last Thanksgiving. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was in a noisy cafe, laptop open, working on a holiday campaign for a client who wanted something festive but not too festive, and also not sleazy but obviously still selling. So, basically magic. My phone was face down on the table, because if I didn't do that, I'd spiral into emails and never finish anything. But it buzzed hard enough that the whole table rattled. I flipped it over out of reflex. New text from Emma. No, hey. No, how are you? Just a photo. It was her dining room. Warm light, perfect angle, the kind of photo you'd see on Pinterest. In the center of it all was the big oak dining table I'd bought her 3 months earlier as a housewarming gift. 6 chairs. Cream runner. Centerpiece with fake eucalyptus she'd made a whole Instagram story about. Under the photo was the message. Don't come to Thanksgiving. My in-laws don't want to meet that side of the family. I stared at it so long the screen dimmed and locked itself. That side of the family. Meaning me. My coffee went cold next to me. People were talking. The barista was calling out names. Someone's kid was crying by the door, but all I could hear was my own heartbeat in my ears. I tapped the photo again and zoomed in on the table. The one I'd paid for in full. The one she'd picked out while saying, Roy, this is way too much. We'll never be able to afford something like this. And then not arguing that hard when I said, don't worry about it. I've got you. Now it was set for Thanksgiving. A Thanksgiving I wasn't invited to. I locked the phone, flipped it face down again, and just sat there. I felt something slide into place inside me. It wasn't anger. Not yet. It was more like the quiet click of a door I didn't know I'd been holding open for years. To understand why that text hit like a truck, you'd have to know the years that came before it. In my family, money has always been a weird mix of taboo and weapon. We grew up lower middle class. Not poor, but nothing extra. Coupons, generic cereal. We'll see, whenever we wanted anything that wasn't strictly necessary. As the oldest, I got the speeches. Roy, you're the man of the house when your dad's not around. Roy, you need to look out for your sister. Roy, when you make it big with that marketing stuff, Don't forget where you came from. They said it jokingly, but the expectation stuck. I started working at 15. Fast food, then a grocery store, then whatever side jobs I could pick up. I paid for my own college textbooks. My parents helped with some tuition, but it was tight. I took the bus, lived with 3 roommates who thought washing dishes was a myth, and ate way too much instant ramen. Meanwhile, Emma floated. Let Roy work, my mom would say. Emma has school. I had school too. But all right. Emma got her first car from Grandpa, but I was the one who fixed the brakes and paid for new tires. She overdrafted her account. I sent her $200. She cried about her phone bill. I called the company and paid it on my card. It's just until I get on my feet, she would say. Our parents watched all of this and, instead of stepping in, treated it like proof I was a good brother. You're so responsible, Roy, my mom would say, patting my arm. Emma's lucky to have you. I'd feel a stupid little glow in my chest and think, yeah, this is what family does. After college, I landed a junior marketing role. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid more than anything I'd ever made. I worked insane hours, moved up, hopped to a better agency, then a startup. My salary climbed. So did my "can you help us out" messages. My parents' car insurance. Me. The time the water heater broke. My card. Emma's credit card that somehow got away from her. I did a balance transfer to my own account, so the interest wouldn't be so bad. Just until we catch up, she said. They never really caught up. Then Emma met Derek. Derek came from the kind of family who uses summer as a verb. They had a lake house, a boat, and parents who wore polos and said things like, "The market's been kind to us this year." Emma brought him to a family barbecue, and from the second he stepped into my parents' small backyard, I could feel the shift. "Oh, he's tall," my mom whispered, smoothing her hair. "And look at that watch." Derek shook my dad's hand and said, "Sir," and my dad was basically sold. After that, every conversation was about Emma and Derek, their plans, their apartment, their engagement. When they got engaged, my parents pulled me aside. "Roy, you know weddings are expensive," my dad said. Here it was. "We're doing what we can, but Emma's our baby. We want it to be special. Anything you could help with would mean a lot." I did the math in my head. I had savings. Not huge, but enough. I was already paying a chunk of their bills. But Emma was looking at me with wide eyes, wearing the ring he'd given her, and I heard myself say, "Yeah, of course. I'll help." That turned into me covering the photographer deposit just to lock her in at that price. Then the DJ, because Derek's parents were already covering the rehearsal dinner. "You make good money, Roy," my mom said when I hesitated. "Besides, you're single. You don't have a family to support yet." That line never failed to sting, as if I was less of a person because my only dependents were everyone else. After they got married, the little favors turned into business favors. Derek wanted to impress his parents with his new job in sales, then a shift into running his father-in-law's franchise branch. "Dude, you're in marketing," he said over beers one night. "Can you just, help us with some ads? Make a logo? Run some campaigns?" "Nothing crazy. I charge for that," I said, half joking. He laughed like I'd told an actual joke. "Come on, man. We're family." So I did Facebook ads. I built landing pages. I helped him write email sequences. Hours and hours of work. For free. "Once we're killing it, we'll make sure you're taken care of," he'd say. Nothing ever materialized. Then they bought a house. A starter home, according to Derek's parents, but it was twice the size of the place I rented. Closing costs wiped them out. Derek complained about cash flow. Emma complained about not having a proper dining room. "How are we supposed to host holidays if people are eating at a folding table, Roy?" she said on FaceTime, walking me through the empty room. It looked so sad. I saw the crack in the door. I walked right through it. "I can get you a dining table," I said. "Housewarming gift." "Roy, no. That's too much," she said immediately, but her eyes lit up. "It's fine," I said. "I'll write it off mentally as a marketing expense." We went to the furniture store together. She picked the big oak one she'd later send me a picture of. We added chairs, a bench, a centerpiece bowl. The total made my stomach twist, but I handed over my card anyway. "Roy, you're the best," she squealed, hugging me in the parking lot. "I'll pay you back for at least part of it. I promise." I knew she wouldn't, but I let myself believe for about 30 seconds. Months went by. On Instagram, I saw the table more than I saw Emma in real life. Brunch spreads, wine nights with Derek's friends, First dinner with the in-laws. I wasn't invited to that one. We wanted to keep it small, she said when I asked about it. You know how they are. How who are? I said. She waved it off. Old-fashioned. They're just particular. The first time I met Derek's parents, his mom looked me up and down like I was a contractor there to give a quote. So you're the marketer, she said, smiling without warmth. Emma says you do internet ads. That must be fun. It pays the bills, I said. She laughed lightly. Well, for now. These creative jobs come and go, don't they? Emma laughed with her. Roy's always landing on his feet, she said, like I was some scrappy stray dog. I went home that night and stared at my budget spreadsheet. Rent, parents' car insurance, part of their utilities, Emma's emergency credit card, the table payment still on my 0% card. Every time I thought about pushing back, I'd hear my mom's voice. Family helps family. By the time Thanksgiving rolled around, Emma and Derek had announced they were hosting for both sides. Big deal. Lots of hype. Group chat full of menu screenshots. Roy, can you bring your famous mac and cheese? My mom texted. Already on it, I replied. I pictured that table full of food, everyone finally together. Maybe I'd feel less like an ATM and more like part of it. Then that Tuesday in the cafe, I got the photo, the table, the text. Don't come to Thanksgiving. My in-laws don't want to meet that side of the family. The side that had bought the table they were going to eat off. I must have read that text 20 times before my brain accepted it was real. At first, I genuinely thought she'd sent it to the wrong person. That she meant to send it to Derek, or a friend, or literally anyone else. So I replied the only way my shocky brain knew how. Is this a joke? The typing bubbles popped up immediately. No, please don't make this harder. They're very particular. Derek's mom said it would be simpler if it was just immediate family and their side this year. I stared at that. Immediate family. I typed, deleted, retyped. So I'm not immediate family? She took longer this time. Roy, you know what I mean. Don't be dramatic. We'll do something with our family another time. I can't fight this battle right now, okay? There it was. I wasn't a brother. I was a battle. I bought the table you're using, I wrote, then deleted it. Because that wasn't really the point. The table was just proof. I sat there in that loud cafe, phone in one hand, card statement open on my laptop in front of me, looking at line after line of help I'd given. Rent, electric, new tires, wedding deposits, table. In my head, I saw every time someone had said, "We'll pay you back," and never did. Every time I'd been told I was so generous, right up until I asked for anything in return that wasn't money. I thought of my mom's favorite line. You're single, Roy. You can handle it. Apparently, I could handle paying for the table, but I was too much for the dinner. Something that had been stretched thin for years finally snapped. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet, solid no somewhere deep in my chest. I typed 2 words. Understood. Enjoy. I hit send. I expected her to keep arguing or apologize or something. Instead, I got a thumbs-up reaction on my own message. That was it. My hands were weirdly steady when I opened my email. I searched for order number 47829, found the receipt from the furniture store, and clicked the little "Need help" link at the bottom. There was a chat option. I clicked it. Hi, this is Mark. Thanks for reaching out. How can we help today? Hi, Mark, I typed. I need to start a return for an order. Dining table and chairs. Order number 47829. He asked the usual questions. Condition of the furniture, reason for return. Change of plans, I wrote. He told me there'd be a pickup fee, restocking fee, etc. My people-pleaser reflex twitched. The old me would have said, never mind, it's fine. This version of me just typed, that's fine. Earliest pickup. He scrolled, then replied. The soonest we can do is Thursday evening. 8 to 9 p.m. window. Does that work? Thanksgiving night. Perfect, I replied. I put in Emma's address. The same one I'd put down the day I bought her the table as a surprise. When the confirmation email came through, I stared at it for a long time. I wasn't thinking revenge. I wasn't even picturing the scene. I just felt this strange, clean line inside my head. If I'm not welcome at the table I paid for, I am not paying for the table. Thanksgiving Day, my phone stayed quiet until mid-afternoon. No happy Thanksgiving text. No miss you today. I made myself a sad little plate of frozen turkey dinner and my famous mac and cheese anyway, because I'd already bought the ingredients. I watched some dumb movie. I told myself I was fine. At 8:47 p.m., my phone lit up like a slot machine. First, a call from Emma. I let it ring out. Then a barrage of texts. Roy, what? Did you seriously send someone to take our table? They're literally standing here watching us eat on the couch. Derek's parents are here. This is so embarrassing. Pick up the phone now. The family group chat chimed in next. Mom, Roy, what is this? Emma says people are here to take the furniture? Dad? Son, explain. Right now. I just stared at the screen for a second, actually picturing them trying to balance plates on their laps, while two delivery guys unscrewed the legs from the table between courses. Then I did something I'd never done before. I opened the family chat and started typing. I listed every big expense I'd covered in the last 5 years. Item by item. Photographer, $1,800. DJ, $900. Emergency rent last year, $1,200. Car repairs, $600. Credit card payoff, $3,000. Dining table and chairs, $2,300. I hit enter after each one. Let the chat ding 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 like a receipt printer. Then I wrote, for years, I've been good enough to pay for things, but not good enough to actually be included. Emma, you told me your in-laws didn't want to meet that side of the family and uninvited me from a holiday I was planning to help host. You're eating off a table I paid for in a house I helped keep you in while calling me an embarrassment. My fingers were flying now. Years of swallowed words finally technically out loud. I'm not your bank. I'm not your backup plan. I'm not the side of the family you hide while cashing my help. So yes, I returned the table. Going forward, I won't be funding anything. Holidays, emergencies, bills. You'll need to figure it out without me. I ended it with, if I'm not welcome at your table as a brother, you don't get to enjoy it as my customer. Happy Thanksgiving. Then I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and went back to my lukewarm mac and cheese. Do Not Disturb bought me about 20 minutes of peace before my curiosity got the better of me. When I turned it off, my notifications exploded. Emma had left 37 messages in a row. No exaggeration. You're insane. You humiliated me in front of Derek's parents. They think I came from messy now. Do you know what his mom said when they started unscrewing the legs? She said, this is why we were worried about that side of your family. You proved them right. That one stung in a weird way. Not because she was right, but because she'd rather agree with them than with me. My mom had called 9 times. My dad twice. There were paragraphs from my mom in the group chat. Mom, Roy, I cannot believe you would do something so petty. Mom, you embarrassed your sister on a holiday. Mom, Derek's parents were kind enough to welcome Emma into their family, and you just confirmed every bad thing they think. Dad, we need to talk about this like adults. You didn't handle this correctly. I snorted when I read that, as if the correct way to be disinvited was with grace and continued financial support. Emma called again. This time I answered. Her voice came through hot and loud. What is wrong with you? She screamed. They showed up in the middle of dessert, Roy. Mr. and Mrs. Davenport were sitting at the table. We had to get up and move to the living room while they took it apart. Do you have any idea how that looked? I kept my voice flat. Probably like the person who bought it decided he didn't want to loan it out to people who don't think he's good enough to sit at it. Loan? She yelled. You said it was a gift. It was, I said, when I thought I was family. You are family, she snapped. You're just, you know how they are. They're particular. You didn't have to make a scene. I didn't make a scene, I said. You did that when you told me not to come to Thanksgiving because your in-laws didn't want to meet that side of the family. She went quiet for half a second, then came back sharper. You could have just talked to me, she said. Instead of this extreme, unnecessary, I'm returning your table stunt. You've always been so dramatic. I actually laughed. I texted you. You told me not to make this harder. You sent a thumbs up when I said understood. Enjoy. You made it pretty clear the conversation was over. That was before you did this, she yelled. Derek is furious. His parents think we're unstable. Do you know what this could do to his career? If his career hinges on a table, I said, he's got bigger problems than me. You're unbelievable, she spat. After everything we've done for you. I almost choked. Everything you've done for me. She hesitated. We've always included you. We invited you to the wedding. I paid for the wedding photographer. I cut in. And the DJ. And the emergency rent when you two forgot your due date. And the credit card. And now the table. That was your choice, she shot back. No one held a gun to your head. You like playing the hero. You can't do all that and then throw it in our faces. I'm not throwing it in your face, I said. I'm explaining why the bank is closed. She was breathing hard into the phone. So that's it. You're just done? Yeah, I said quietly. I'm done. She went quiet long enough that I thought maybe the call dropped. Then she said, low and cold, fine. Don't come around when you realize you pushed us away. Don't expect us to be there when you finally start a family and need help. I haven't expected help from you in a long time, I said. That's kind of the point. I hung up before she could answer. My mom called immediately. I let it go to voicemail. I listened later. Roy, honey, she started in that voice that meant she was about to guilt trip me into next week. I know you're hurt, but you went too far. Emma is trying to fit into a new family. You know how important that is. Sometimes we have to swallow our pride for the greater good. You should apologize. Apologize. For taking back furniture from people who told me I wasn't welcome. I texted her. I'm not apologizing for having boundaries. I'm not going to keep paying for things while being treated like an embarrassment. I love you, but I'm not discussing this further tonight. She replied with, you've changed, which honestly was the nicest thing she's ever accidentally said to me. The next few weeks were quiet. No, can you spot us until Friday? Texts. No, hey, can you send a quick $200? I watched my bank balance do something it hadn't done in years. Actually stay where it was supposed to. I stopped paying their car insurance. I gave them a month's notice in the group chat. I've been covering this for years, I wrote. Starting next month, you'll need to switch it into your own name. I can't afford to keep doing it. Mom responded, we'll manage, in that passive-aggressive way that meant we're going to complain about you for weeks. I started therapy, real therapy, with a human who looked me in the eye on a screen and said things like, why do you think your worth is tied to what you pay for? And what would happen if you let people be disappointed in you? I picked up a new client, and instead of mentally assigning that money to my family's emergencies, I bought myself a new couch. Nothing fancy, but it was the first big purchase I'd made for me in a long time. Emma tried a few times to break the silence. Once, she texted, we're a little tight this month. Any chance you could help with the mortgage, just this once? I stared at it for a full minute. Old Roy reached for his wallet out of habit. New Roy put the phone down, made dinner, and answered an hour later with, no, I can't. Hope you figure it out. She replied, wow, okay, and then nothing. But I noticed something else. Quietly, one by one, other relatives reached out. My cousin Lily messaged me on Instagram. I heard what happened with the table. Low-key iconic. They've been using you for years. Good for you. An older uncle called and said, not in so many words, that he'd always wondered how long I was going to keep bankrolling their lifestyle. Even my dad, who usually avoided emotions like they were contagious, pulled me aside when I stopped by to drop off some boxes they didn't want to pay a moving company for. He cleared his throat. You stood your ground, he said, staring at the floor. I don't agree with how it went down. But I get being tired. It wasn't an apology, but it wasn't nothing. This year, when Thanksgiving rolled around again, I didn't get an invite from Emma. I didn't expect one. Instead, I hosted 4 friends in my little apartment. We had too much food crammed onto my not fancy but mine table. We used mismatched plates. We drank cheap wine. We went around and said what we were grateful for, half joking. When it was my turn, I surprised myself. I'm grateful I'm not anyone's walking credit card anymore, I said. And that my table only has people at it who actually want me there. It came out lighter than it felt. But it was true. I used to think love meant picking up the check. My parents taught me that doing things equals care, even if it came with guilt. So I paid to matter, helped to belong, swallowed hurt to stay the good one. Emma's Thanksgiving text killed that. I was good enough to fund her life, not good enough to sit at her table. Returning the furniture wasn't small. It was the first time my actions matched the truth. If I'm not family, my wallet isn't either. Watching Roy's story unfold, my takeaway is simple. Love that depends on your wallet isn't love, it's access. For years he tried to buy acceptance, but the moment he stopped paying, they showed how little they valued him. Returning the table was not cruelty, it was a reset. The second he chose self-respect over approval, he finally sat at a table where he actually belongs. This story teaches us that love and family shouldn't be bought with money. You have the right to say no, to stop funding people who shame you, and to choose self-respect over fake family peace.